I am making a game inspired by Armored Core, Vanquish, and even Metal Gear Rising. Welcome to my devlog. I started working on this game around 3 months ago in March. I started with the idea that combat should be the main focus of the game. It had to be fast, engaging, and at its core, fun. To me, gameplay is the most important part of the game, and the games that put it forward are the ones that I enjoy the most. And my game is no different. The current title of the game is Rapid, and I would like to share with you my journey in creating it to the point where it is right now. Let's start with the controls. In the professional settings, it's called the 3 C's. 3 C's. Character, controls, and camera. This is what the player feels when first playing your game. How good does it feel to control the character? How are the basic combat mechanics and overall influences the first impressions of your game? In Rapid, you do not necessarily aim at your enemy. Your mech will automatically aim at the enemy if it's not too far from you and it's currently in your vision. Embarrassingly enough, this is the first thing I implemented inside this project. I spent probably around 2 weeks making sure that my character aims at the target properly, before it could even shoot. This is done via animation blueprint, where your mech will rotate its upper arm, body, and the head to face the enemy to the best of its ability, as you can see here. I made a choice that the closest enemy to the middle of your screen will get selected as a primary target. This is happening on runtime. Runtime is a phase of a program lifecycle that executes and keeps a program running. In our case, it means that we're constantly checking for new enemies. So you can always switch your target by moving your mouse or controller stick. In case you want a more precise aiming, you can choose to enter a locked-on mode. This will make sure that your camera is always centered on your current enemy, and your controls on the ground change a bit. You begin to slide around your target using your thrusters and not the regular walk cycle. This is how I usually play, but I've noticed that the mouse and keyboard players tend to prefer the unlocked option. And you can still switch targets in a locked mode by moving your camera. Next, I would like to touch on dodging enemy attacks. By pressing the assigned dodge button, a player will dodge to any of the 8 directions depending on your input. This action drains your energy bar. To get the energy back, the player has to be grounded and it will refill pretty quickly. Now, what would a game inspired by Armored Core be without some sort of aerial movement? Players can hold down the jump button to begin ascending. This is not tied to a resource and you can hold it as long as you like. In one of my playtests, one of the players said it would be nice to have a button that descends you as well, so you can come back to the ground faster, since being in the air for a long time usually isn't that beneficial by design. I thought the idea was brilliant and I started implementing it right away. In the air, players can enter a comet state. This will propel you downwards, and I thought it would be cool that if you land with high enough velocity, you will slam the ground and damage any nearby enemies. This not only solved the flying issue, but it also added another attack option for the player. That ties together with my next topic and my love for gameplay depth and complexity. Here is another movement option, boosting. This will also drain your energy, as you move around with high speed and even slide underneath some geometry. Not cool enough for you? How about boost jumping? Where you can still shoot your enemies while styling on them. Currently, this is one of the most efficient options for movement in the game. But I hear you want more options. Well, how about I give you a sword? The sword is on a resource that you can see here on an aiming reticle. 1 bar means you have 1 sword swinging you, and full bar lets you swing twice. This sword charge will accumulate very slowly on its own, but if you shoot at your enemy, you will get it much quicker. When it comes to shooting, you get 6 bullets until you automatically reload. Manual reload is also an option for those who want to be more efficient. If you press the trigger and let go of it quickly, it will result in a regular shot. But if you hold it, a power bullet will be loaded into the chamber. This one does more damage and also pushes you back quite a bit to sell on that powerful impact. You can already see that I implemented quite a number of player options when it comes to movement and combat. But lately I've been feeling that it's not quite enough. Something is seriously missing for me to be happy with the base combat system. Then I started thinking, what do most of my favorite action games have in common? It's player mastery. Doing well in an encounter mustn't be too easy, yet feel rewarding to the player that understands how the combat works. The perfect example of what I mean would be the best boss fight ever, Genichiro Ashina from Sekiro. When you respond to a boss fight with the right timing of parrying, dodging and attacking, you feel like an absolute badass and the fight flows in this exhilarating fast pace of defense and offense. It is mostly in parrying that you get that mastery from. In this game, defense is also offense. By parrying at the right time, you deal posture damage to your enemy right here, allowing you to reach critical hits that much faster. I knew there is something that I want in my game, that mastery with some sort of timing. First, I tried implementing a bullet parry mechanic. When dodged at the right time in the direction of an enemy bullet, you will parry it, throwing it back at your enemy. However, when I was testing this feature, I quickly found out that it is not only very unreliable, but also not very satisfying to pull off. After some thinking, I implemented my current system, the timed dodge. For a brief time during a dodge, you will receive iframes. Iframes, also known as invulnerability frames, are a property that allows certain frames in an attack animation to ignore any and all attacks without taking damage. During which, if the enemy projectile is near, you will enter a timed dodge state. From here you have two more options. You can shoot at your enemy with a strong bullet, or if you have a sword charge, teleport to your enemy and start swinging. You can guess where I took this teleporting idea from. Later on I will work on adding more juice to the timed dodge state. Juice in a game is all about adding extra layers of feedback, effects and interactivity to make the game more satisfying to play, like adding a screen shake upon hitting an enemy, visual effects or controller shakes. One more thing I would like to mention is the way I animate my characters. I make my own animations inside this one wonderful program. It's called Cascadeur and working in it has been really nice, to the point where I started to recommend it to all of my developer friends. As a combat designer, animations are extremely important to me. That's like half the reason why combat in games feels good. In Cascadeur, I can make quality animations without much hassle. To me, the difference between animating in Blender like I used to do and Cascadeur is astronomical. Not only do the animations turn out better, but also it is possible to produce them faster. Right now I have around 75 animations that I made in Cascadeur. See how my character tries to adjust itself as you move a limb or body. I also managed to grab a free indie license because I registered at the right time. For your character, I recommend that you give Cascadeur a try. It also works beautifully with Unreal Engine. So right now I'm working on redesigning and reworking my enemies. Currently, these placeholder drones can't even move properly and consist of badly made meshes that I put together in Blender. Please tell me in the comments what would you want me to talk about next, because there are many things here that I haven't touched on yet. I have some ideas in mind, like why the game looks the way it does, the shaders, how the main character was designed, the lore of the world or maybe even the story. My current goal is to polish the game and release the demo on Steam, where you guys can play it and offer your feedback. For now, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this devlog, liking the video helps out a lot, and see you next time. How do I end the video?